kids who sit a bit outside the mix, who maybe cope through humor just to fit in for a bit, who never let the world know when depression sets in. To all of those who know you, that impression don't exist, and it ain't counterfeit, it's just a way to counter it. I'm living things I dreamed about, I still encounter it. It ain't something that a cigarette or alcohol can fix, but all because of it, I flipped it quick, went on to write some hits. This a success, off another breath. This the first step in searching to be nothing less than be the best in what you do to prove their strength in being you. Learn so much in chasing dreams that I never would in school. Depends on where your passion lies, just no passion never lie. Life presents distractions, but your actions have to fortify. The things that you believe in have to scream it like a battle cry, and leave the ones who didn't looking stupid while they're asking why. Couldn't lie, I really do this for the ones I love. Those who treat the music as a vice and lyrics like a drug. Those who need advice on how to lift their spirit high enough to break out of the box they make of lives they know aren't good enough. Just because it's how it is don't mean it's how it has to be. This is what the uninspired testifiers fail to see. Jealousy results from being that which others failed to be, and if it means you're not with me, that honestly sounds fair to me.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
Do this for my mother, she'll be working for the summer. Do this for my father, cause these days I often wonder what my life would have been like if I was not adopted. To grow up in a home where I was treated like a problem. I don't know, it's just a guess. Your guess probably good as mine. Lucky that I grew up in a home that wanted me to shine. Lucky that I grew up around some mountains we were taught to climb. Without that inspiration, I don't think that this would be my life. Do this for my friends who've scattered all across the country now. I'm out in Sweden walking back through life so I can write it down. Make a living off the sound, so crazy to say out loud. I'm the biggest thing since Travis Rice to come up out the town. Sorry, gotta stunt a little. Used to have my dreams belittled, but it's all a part of it. I know people's minds are fickle, lines between reality and dreams I blur like faded nights. Come up been so good for me, I wish that I could make it twice.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
Yeah, what up? Shout out to my pops. I do this for you, Dad. What's up, man? Hey, guys. Thanks for being here on a Sunday night. I usually fade the song out, but I ain't got time for all that. I am trying to fix my Windows. It's been acting weird. I apologize if I'm a little off-center. We're trying to get back into the swing of things. So we're doing the show tonight a little later than normal, letting the NFL do their thing. But here we are. We're going to be talking about the results from Saturday, so from yesterday in college football. So if you guys are here, I'm going to go through 10 results, check the chat, 10 results, check the chat, okay? And we'll go from there. Now, I already talked about most of the results on Thursday and Friday, so I'm not going to rehash those. Go watch previous live streams. But here we are. Let's talk about it. Number 1, Georgia, coming back from behind to beat Auburn. When I watch this game, the first thing I think is Georgia's not number 1. Georgia's not the best team in the country. They rank them number 1, and they refuse to move them. But everything you see about them is not number 1. I just watched Auburn not stand a chance against Texas A&M last week. And here you have them leading and winning against Georgia. It's crazy, okay? The reason Georgia doesn't cover the spread is because they're not as dominant as everybody anticipated. You got a guy like Carson Beck throwing a touchdown, throwing an interception, only being able to convert with Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers has half his receiving yards. A little more than half, right? 157, that would come out to 314. You're looking at Carson Beck with 313. You can only throw it to him. And now on the flip side, Auburn has no quarterback. And they still managed to keep up blow for blow. This game was in the balance. Georgia comes through. I don't see Georgia going undefeated. I told you guys I don't even think they're going to play in the SEC championship game, which is crazy when you look at their schedule, right? But very underwhelming team. Shout out to them for winning again. Michigan dominating Nebraska. Nebraska's out there with a backup, quarterback. Shout out to Heinrich Harberg. Still threw an interception. Just couldn't get anything going. They can't finish their drives. They didn't score until the fourth quarter. Michigan had this game in the bag. Shout out to Josh Fleeks. This is a former Baylor running back, moved to slot wide receiver. Remember when he transferred, he followed rule, right, at his final season of eligibility. He follows rule from Baylor to Nebraska, and then he gets sent home for being fat. Well, now that Nebraska loses 2 running backs to injury, they're done for the season. Now they got to move Fleeks back to running back either way. But he had one big catch for 74 yards and a touchdown, the lone touchdown for Nebraska. Shout out to Josh Fleeks. Billy Kemp IV, the transfer from Virginia, doing his best. Notice they were all the game's leaders because they played the full game. Nobody from Michigan played the full game. They were up 28-0 at the half and just kind of coasted. It's a rough year for Nebraska. It's a rough year for Matt Rule, and that's kind of how it goes his first year at new schools. He struggled at Baylor his first year, struggled at Temple his first year. Give him a while to get the ball rolling. It'll be fine. Texas stomping out Kansas. This was Kansas playing with Bean at quarterback, the backup quarterback. He still played pretty good, but they couldn't score. Relax, sweetie. That's Ash. But they did what they did. Texas looked dominant. Quinn Ewers getting it done. And Adonai Mitchell, oh my goodness. A.D. Mitchell, the Georgia transfer, looked great. He'll make my top 5 transfers list this week. I've been a little busy. I couldn't make my list this morning, but he's going to be on it for sure. Penn State, this is a backdoor cover. They were favored by 26.5 points. They covered it, but it didn't look good, at least not early. They looked terrible in that first half. Drew Allar is still not him. I'm not convinced. It's a very dominant defensive performance, very lackluster play calling. I went back and watched it. It just doesn't move me, bruh. Nothing about Penn State excites me, yet they keep moving up the charts. I don't know why. The teams they're moving ahead of didn't lose, right? They moved them ahead of Washington and USC. They moved Penn State ahead of Washington and USC, and Penn State's done nothing. There's nothing to warrant them moving up to 6, yet it happened. Started the season at 9, now they're at 6, and nobody knows why. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's propaganda. It's just in case they beat Michigan, just in case they beat Ohio State. They got to make sure these guys are still ranked at the top. It doesn't make any sense to me. Washington beating Arizona. Shout out to Washington for getting it done. Arizona, they were down 14-0 at the end of the first quarter. It looked like another blowout was on the way, and then they got tough. And you got to give a lot of credit. They don't have him up here on the box score on that little GameCast thing off to the right. But Noah Fafita, this is I think he's a redshirt freshman now. If you guys don't know who Noah Fafita is, he's a young guy, short guy, coming out of high school. Him and a couple teammates all committed, T-Mac included. They all committed out of Servite to Arizona. It was a great recruiting class with Rashawn Luke at running back, just a bunch of studs. And Fafita finally got his chance to play, and I thought he played well. I thought he played really good. So congratulations to him. Jeremy Bernard, the Michigan State transfer, leading the team in receiving. I didn't see that coming. Outdoing Polk and outdoing Rome. And, looks like we got 3 wide receivers at Washington that can really play ball. So congratulations to them. Shout out to them for keep winning, right? USC Colorado, it was a lot to a little at halftime. Then Colorado started scoring. Notice, USC did not score in the fourth quarter. That'll come back to bite you if you don't keep your foot on their throat. But the reality is Caleb Williams, 6 touchdowns, 400 yards. Like, that's not it, man. That's not even a problem. And nobody's talking about it. All they're talking about is the defense gave up so many points. It's like they weren't playing complete scrubs. Colorado's got guys that can play. They were just shell-shocked the week before. They didn't know what it was like to play against a team like Oregon. So when you start going up against talented players, you got to step up. And sometimes you get knocked out in the first round. Next time you get in that heavyweight fight, hey, I'm not going to get knocked out in the first round. And that's exactly what happened. They were able to stay competitive. The score makes it look a lot closer than it actually was. There was a breakout party there for Omarion Miller, one of the stud players that I really like all season. Cormani McClain actually made a couple of plays at defensive back I was very impressed with. There's still splash plays on the defensive line being made by Jordan Dominic. There's a lot of bright spots for Colorado. On the flip side, USC, hand the ball off to Marshawn Lloyd. That dude, number 0, Marshawn Lloyd is so dangerous. He's so strong after contact. He's doing he looks like an NFL running back. Give him the ball. Now, they were without one of their top weapons, right? The amazing true freshman, Zachary Branch, did not play in that game. That's a problem. But they still got it done. Congratulations. Bo Nix blowing out Stanford. I told you guys, Stanford can do nothing. Stanford has a terrible secondary, playing a bunch of new guys, and Bo Nix and the boys had their way. Took them a little bit to get rolling, but by the time it was the end of the third, the spread was covered and everything was gravy. Notre Dame gets out with a win. Complete luck. If you ask me, I thought Duke didn't do themselves any favors. Duke played really bad. Calhoun drops more passes than you know. That's the leading receiver out of Duke, number 5. And, Notre Dame, some of these penalties in this game were just crazy. The penalties going back and forth. If Duke, shout out to their kicker for sucking, but if they had a kicker, they would at least cover the spread. But their kicker didn't get it done. He missed a chip shot field goal, garbage. Alabama looked dominant. Mississippi State couldn't do anything. Milroe still can't throw the ball, but, man, he's running around giving them the best chance at victory. Shout out to Nye Black for playing tight end, better than C.J. Dippre, like I've been telling you guys. But, yeah, Mississippi State's offense does not look exciting. I don't care who's there. It's not the air raid offense. It's not Mike Leach offense. So they've been underwhelming, to say the least. And then on the flip side, what offense has not been underwhelming? How about Ole Miss and LSU? 55-49. Ole Miss wins this game. Brian Kelly, they're chanting they want him fired. They're ridiculous. You loved him last year. Now you hate him this year. It's crazy how they just pretend to give a shit one week and not the other. Trey Harris balled out of control, 8 receptions, 153 yards, and a touchdown. That's the transfer from La Tech. I told you guys he would be a stud, and I was right. Judkins goes out there, does what he usually does, rushes for 177. Daniels throwing for 414. That's nuts. It's embarrassing. And shout out to both these defenses for not showing up to play. Ole Miss, 21 points in the fourth quarter to win the game. There's no excuse for that. LSU now 3-2. Let's stop talking about them. They're not relevant. They won't be. You can't have 2 losses and be talking about a conference championship. You just can't. Okay, that's 10, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is 10. And we'll go to the chat and we'll talk about you guys. Good evening, sir. Shout out to Boss Omar. I would like to comment on the offensive coordinator for Colorado, Sean Lewis. If he only used his second half plays, they could win the rest of the year. There you go. Congratulations to Coach Prime and his kids. Travis is him. Well, Travis didn't play, but I feel you. We get in a chat. What up, Mateo? We're always getting a chat. Brian Bergheim. Thoughts on Arizona versus Washington? Rewind the show. I just talked about it. I was very impressed with Noah Fafita and Washington getting the win. What's up, gang? Had another beautiful weekend. Thank you again, kind sir. You got it, Dime Hales. Congratulations on all your winning. Good evening, Rico. Good evening, Breaking. Connor says, just became an MVP. I watch every day. Yes, you do, Connor. Thank you for becoming an MVP. You won't regret it. Enjoy the month. Don't flip out. Don't wig out if you have a bad week. Enjoy the month. Who are your Heisman candidates so far? I skipped a question here from Seth. At this point, Neil Brown might get an extension. Yes, Neil Brown's doing amazing. I told you he wasn't on the hot seat. Everything's changed. I thought he's been coaching great for the last couple weeks. They've been doing, ever since they beat Pitt, I looked at them differently. I want to say I looked at them differently after their first game with Penn State, and they didn't get blown out. They looked like they belonged on the field with Penn State. I've been impressed with West Virginia every single game, including their losses, and that's important. You don't want to look bad in losses. Who are your Heisman candidates so far? So far, I don't have a whole lot of Heisman candidates. I'd imagine you have to go to the undefeated teams and look at their quarterbacks because that's how Heismans are done these days. So you're going to have to look at guys like Cam Ward, Caleb Williams. I'm missing a huge one. I wanted to say it before I even started. Not Sam Hartman because they lost. Not Carson Beck. Who are these teams up here? My bad. Oh, Bo Nix. That's what it is. Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix. And obviously Quinn Ewers. But Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix are very much in that conversation. Those sound like Heisman candidates to me. It's all a bunch of Pac-12 dudes. Rico, I left a comment on your TikTok on the ref taking the kid's helmet. Pike County versus Headland got forfeited because of a brawl with helmets getting used as weapons. Oh, my goodness. Also, Jabari Barber looked real good yesterday. Went to school with him. There you go. Shout out to you, Lansden. I appreciate you, man. I'll look into it tomorrow. Will there be exclusive non-betting content in the off-season for MVPs? Thanks. Connor, there will be. There will always be exclusive information. Things like me breaking down transfer portal players, transfer portal rankings and classes, recruiting class rankings, and showing you guys hidden gems in recruiting. I'm just going to be posting a ton of videos this offseason for the MVPs. I will also be covering March Madness, UFC, and the NFL draft for MVPs. So I'll be giving you guys exclusive information that others won't have. We're going to be transferring fully, little by little, from TikTok to YouTube. YouTube is the future. YouTube is where it's at for me. It's more lucrative. It's more dependent, and it's. I hate to say this, but it's more positive. Yeah, it's a lot more positive. It's less toxic. The kids are all over TikTok, and they're extremely toxic. Texas A&M is going to dominate Alabama. What a take. Listen to Joseph. Joseph just saying it, not being held accountable. Mason Etheridge just became an MVP. Congratulations, Mason. The MVP locks will probably be released to the MVPs tomorrow morning. I've already looked over the spreads. It looks like a tough week, but we'll try our best. Alabama will get bullied by the almighty Aggies. There we go. Hey, Rico, I don't watch NFL often, but how does Jake Haener look? I know you had him number 1 on your board. Juno, he looks great. There's not much I can do. I'm not a team. I don't coach, and I'm not a GM. I don't make decisions as to when people play, but he looks amazing. The man is immaculate. Penn State hasn't looked good. They've played nobody. So it's a fair assessment. It's a fair assessment, Jeff Jensen. I don't understand why they're up to 6. Does Tennessee have a chance on beating Georgia or A&M? Yeah, they're on the schedule. If they're on the schedule, they have a chance to beat them, Jimbo. Hey, Rico, what up, Zotox? What do you think sparked the comeback attempt for Colorado? Well, turnovers, and I believe it's not a real, people say a comeback, but there's no real comeback there. There was some turnovers, and USC stopped scoring in the 4th. So you're going to get within, if you look at it, you're down 3 touchdowns going into the 4th. So what comeback are we talking about? It's just points that made it look respectable. And I'm okay with that. I want to make that very clear. In the offseason, I said Colorado needs to look respectful, right? They need to look competitive in their losses. And that's exactly what that is. It's not a blowout where you're bringing your backups. It's not calling off the dogs. It's not being down 30 at half. It's a huge difference between the Oregon game and the USC game, right? And the caliber of team was equivalent. It wasn't the fact that one defense was better than the other. It was the offense was more efficient and actually moving the chains better. They discovered an offensive weapon, and Omarion Miller, they did things right. So I'm proud of them for digging deep and being tough and competitive in the loss, but I don't think it's a comeback attempt, at least not from my eyes. I never thought for a second they were coming back in any way. But they played well. I love it. What up? Hey, I'm going to go back to the games, and then I'll come back to the chat. Big Rico, Tennessee will beat UGA. Give me a second here. Oh, shit. Sorry about that. It just auto-plays from time to time. It's nonsense. I got to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to stop at UAB Tulane. I'll come back to the chat. All right. Got to go back over some more results, and then I'll get back to the chat here, guys. Give me a second. So, Iowa State, Oklahoma. Oklahoma was up at the half. Never looking back. They were up 40-20 at the half. It took them a while to get going. They did give up an early touchdown to Iowa State, but when you look at Oklahoma this year, how are they 14th? They're 5-0. They're dominant. Somebody needs to respect them. Dylan Gabriel, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, a ton of yards. They have weapons, and I think that people don't quite understand what they're doing, but they're very dominant on the defensive side of the ball. They really are. I know they gave up 20 points here in the first half, but shutting them out in the second half was really impressive. And for me, I feel like Oklahoma's a lot better than we give them credit for. I have them only losing 1 game all year. That's what I had them in the preseason. I had them going 11-1. I'm sure I have a video made on it. This is one of those times I feel really good about it. So shout out to Oklahoma. I don't know the one game they're going to drop. It could be this week. It could be another week. I'm sure there's a Texas homer in here, Joseph Villalon. If you guys don't know, he's a complete Texas homer, so anything he says is going to be very biased. But I like the way Oklahoma looked against Iowa State. I like the way they looked against SMU. They looked good to me. Tennessee, they impressed me this week, dominating South Carolina. Milton still throwing interceptions, very few touchdowns. But I want to say Brew McCoy broke his ankle. They relied upon Squirrel White. They were relied upon Wright at running back, and they dominated South Carolina. That's good. They covered the spread, but more importantly, they looked the part. Now, 21 at 4-1, and your one loss is a terrible loss to Florida. I don't feel sorry for you. I don't think it's a good loss. I think it's a terrible loss. Florida should have never been ranked, and they won't be ranked again for the rest of the year, unless somebody's out there is being biased, because there's no way. Because as you can see here in the next game, Florida went out there and got ran over. Everybody's talking about Ray Davis. I talked about Ray Davis this offseason. I made fun of him for looking like a substitute teacher in his profile pic at Vandy. Remember, this is a 1,000-yard rusher transferring from Vandy to Kentucky. Not impressed with Ray Davis at all, yet he went out there and did 26 and 280. I'm telling you guys, if we had tryouts tomorrow for running backs, Ray Davis is beating nobody out. But he gets in this game and he goes. And the reason they're doing this is Florida only has 10 guys on defense, man. They got a guy out there in Princely Humanly. That guy's not great. Stop reading PFF ratings. It's not good. Shout out to Graham Mertz for being dominant in a loss. 244 yards is huge for him. But once you start throwing because you're behind, you lost the game. Shout out to Kentucky. They had a huge lead to start and never looked back. I like it. Florida, good riddance. Missouri, undefeated and staying that way. Had this game in pocket. Remember, Brady Cook is him. I told everybody that in the preseason. They kept calling for Sam Horn. They kept telling me Jake Garcia, the transfer from Miami, was going to win the starting job. I laughed at everybody and said, Brady Cook is Missouri. I know I have this on video. And they go out there and they handle their business. Shout out to Luther Burden III. No longer splitting reps with other receivers. Getting it all. Stretching the defense. He's a stud. I like Missouri. As a team, they can score with anybody. They're going to find out this week how good they are. Fresno State beating Nevada. Very dominant. Giving up 9 points in the fourth quarter. That's fine. But Mikey Keene is still him. He did throw 2 interceptions. That's disappointing, but he threw 2 touchdowns to Jalen Gill. That's the Boston College transfer. Used to be a running back / wide receiver, kind of scat back, all-purpose back at Ohio State. Couldn't break the 2 deep. No shame there. Transferred to Boston College. Didn't like the way he was being used in that terrible offensive scheme last season. Hit the transfer portal again, and now he's being targeted properly with a real quarterback. Shout out to Mikey Keene and Jalen Gill for getting it done. I'm really impressed with them and what they did against Nevada. They're undefeated and ranked in the top 25, and rightfully so. Remember, they shut out Arizona State. Nobody's shutting out Arizona State. Fresno State did. They beat them 27-0. I like it. A&M beating up on Arkansas. Arkansas is looking terrible. They just don't have it, guys. A&M shows up with Max Johnson, their new starting quarterback. I told you Max Johnson's a good starting quarterback. Used to be the starting quarterback at LSU. And they go out there, dominate this game. It wasn't close. It was never in doubt. Halftime 17-6. They just looked like 2 different teams were trying to they're going in different directions. So shout out to them. It was nice to see A&M using a different running back instead of Reuben Owens. Shout out to Moss for getting it done. 34-22 impressed. Minnesota, Louisiana. Hey, Louisiana's not a scrub team. A lot of people are calling for P.J. Fleck to get fired just because the score was close at half, right? 17-14, Minnesota was losing. But it's not that easy, man. It really isn't. Louisiana is a good team. The minute you see Louisiana outdo some of these other Sun Belt teams, you're going to realize how good they actually are. I like Louisiana as a football team. They played tough. They were able to score. Minnesota showed up without their star running back. They actually were down both of their running backs. I didn't see much from Sean Tyler or Taylor. Obviously, Taylor, the true freshman, been dominating, carrying games. But they had to go a different route, and they got it done still. Minnesota is going to be underwhelming this year, but I don't think you should fire your coach at halftime, so stop all that shit. Utah State beating UConn in a shootout. UConn still has yet to win a game. This is crazy. Nobody saw that coming in the preseason. Victor Rosa's still running well for UConn, but they lost their quarterback early. Roberson comes in. He's a dual-threat guy. Everything you think is going to go right, and it still doesn't get it done. Right? They were up 17-7 at the half. They still didn't win this game. Shout out to Utah State for finding a way to win. Clemson, always finding a way to win, beating an undefeated Syracuse team. They don't care who you are. They got better talent. They're going to win the game. And they did. And that's unfortunate for Syracuse. This is about as good as they're going to be. You know, Syracuse reminds me a lot of Maryland in the Big Ten. Like, you're a good team. We like what you're doing, but you just don't have the talent to compete with the upper echelon of your conference. That's where Syracuse is. And then UAB Tulane. The overhit, thank goodness. Tulane wins. But UAB still impresses me, man. 17 points. This is after putting up 14 or 21. 21 on Georgia last week. And then this week they go over there and they put up 20 in the first half. Now, they still lost the game, but Jacob Zeno, that's the Baylor transfer, he did well. Tulane had to rely on their rushing attack instead of their passing attack, but Lawrence Keys III gets open, gets a touchdown. Michael Pratt finds him. If you guys ever get a chance to watch Tulane's wide receivers, they have two really good wide receivers. Watch the tape. You'd be impressed. There's A. Thomas down there, eight catches, 99 yards. This is a 17-year-old true freshman wide receiver. I've been impressed with his huddle tape, and 2 weeks in a row now, he's done really well having breakout games, and it looks like Zeno really trusts him at UAB. They got a star in the making if he doesn't leave school, right? But shout out to Trent Dilfer because he's cooking down there. All right, back to the chat. Tennessee will beat UGA, but not the Aggies. Texas A&M, #1 team in the nation. There you go, Joseph. He's all Texas guys. For sure. What up, Jimbo? Luke McCaffrey, top 5 wide receiver in college football. Shout out to you, Poop and Grin. I think that's what your name is. Pooping right now. My bad. Pooping right now. Luke McCaffrey plays for Rice, guys, and he is one of the better receivers. Just 2 weeks ago, I think he had 9 receptions for 199 yards in a losing effort. He was the second leading receiver in the game, mind you, but still very impressed with what Luke McCaffrey does at Rice. Looking forward to hearing you talk Red River, whether or not you give a pick should be the best Red River in the past couple of years. Well, I'd hope so, Jeff Jensen, because last year it was not a good one. Wasn't it 49-0? It was bad. Found it, subscribed. B. Kinnan Outdoor Life. Found it, subscribed. Yeah, subscribe is good. Remember, next thing to do is join. You become a member of the channel. Thoughts on Arkansas versus UMass. Arkansas State versus UMass. I'm getting to it shortly. Arkansas State starting their true freshman quarterback. I made a video on him last week. Going up against UMass, I knew the over was going to hit. This is some newfound offense by both teams, and it looked great, Mac-10. I was excited about that game. Zaw talks. Good evening, Rico. Just wanted to ask what you saw in Mikey Keene's last game, if you got to see it. So, I rewatched the Mountain West games on Friday, along with the Pac-12 games. So, if you guys don't know my schedule, when I watch the games, I rewatch last week's games during the week. So, on Monday, I do ACC, Conference USA, and independent games. I watch all of them during the day leading up to my podcast that evening. So I rewatch the games. On Tuesday, I watch Big 10 and the MAC. I rewatch all those games. And then on Wednesday, I rewatch the Big 12 and the American. Thursdays, Sun Belt and SEC, and then Fridays, Mountain West and Pac-12. And when I rewatch them, I have YouTube TV that records all my games, and then I have ESPN Plus. So I can watch them really fast. It takes me about 40 to 60 minutes to watch a game. If it's on YouTube, I can watch it at 1.25, 1.5 playback speed, skip commercials and stuff. So it works out for me. But, yeah, I watch all the games over again. So I don't watch Mikey Keene's performance again until Friday. But I was impressed with some of the highlights that I got to see. I obviously check all the highlights here on YouTube like this, and I do watch as many games as possible on a Saturday. So it's not like I have to rewatch all of them. I watch a lot of games on Saturday. It's just my life. It's what I do every week. So shout out to you. Love what Mikey Keene's doing. Georgia fan here for 40-plus years. Is Bobo a problem? It's more than just Mike Bobo, the new offensive coordinator. I think it's a systemic issue, and it kind of happens when you win national titles. You become a little bit stagnant, and you become a victim of your success. An example would be Bama. Bama has an amazing quarterback pedigree for about 4 years now, 4 in a row, right? Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts, Tua, Mac Jones, Bryce Young. And when you look at Bryce Young, who was supposed to come next? They didn't develop somebody next. And none of the high school quarterbacks were committed to Bama because they had Bryce Young. So sometimes you're missing out on certain players because of who you have. And in Georgia's case, they've been throwing to Brock Bowers for 2 years, so no star wide receivers wanted to go to Georgia. So you're down weapons on the outside. You're down running backs because none of your running backs – I mean, you got a guy drafted last year, and he was the last running back taken in the draft. You know, you can't get the top talent at a position when you walk into a living room and you tell them, well, we get a running back to the NFL. We got a 7th rounder to the NFL. You're not going to win when somebody else can go in there and say, well, our starting and our second string running back were drafted in the 4th round or higher, right? Like Texas. So how does Texas get a guy like Baxter coming out of high school? Well, how do you get the top running back? Well, you sent these other 2, right? How does Ohio State get the top wide receivers every year? They got 3 out of the top 10 last year. Well, because you just sent a bunch of guys to the league. So it's just a cycle of recruiting, and you have to kind of bridge that gap with development. Losing your assistants to success, guys like Dan Lanning or, you know, this happens with Saban all the time, losing coordinators because he's so successful. It just happened to Clemson, right? You just lost Tony Elliott. Now, he's not successful as a head coach, but, man, would you love to have him as an offense coordinator at Clemson still. And he's not there anymore. So as you lose your coordinators, it's tough to keep refilling and backfilling. And Georgia's learning that firsthand. You just lost Monken to the NFL. And Bobo, as much as everybody wanted to say, Bobo's the same. He's been there longer. He knows everything. Da, da, da. No, Bobo is the same guy who did nothing at Auburn and didn't impress me at South Carolina. Like, people need to go back and double-check before they start claiming what he did in 2012. Like, there's other years where he sucked. Not necessarily sucked, but he underachieved. It's the same way I feel about a lot of other coordinators. But, yeah, that's the problem is not just Bobo, though. It's a little bit of being content and complacent with winning national titles. You'll ignore some of the problems. You'll ignore the fact that your leading receiver transferred out or your most talented receiver left 2 off seasons in a row, right? Burton left 2 years ago, and then this year it was A.D. Mitchell. It just, what do you want me to do? You're not throwing the receivers the ball. We're going to leave. And, oh, well, no, Rico, he left because he had a kid. And he had bullshit, man. He didn't leave because he had a kid. These kids get NIL money. There are families moving across the country with $5,000 to their name. Or less than $5,000, and they're moving all over the country. You can't move a kid and a baby mama to Georgia from Texas? Yes, you can. I have people in my inbox tell me, Rico, that kid lives in Tennessee anyways. Yeah, it's all bullshit. I've been waiting for them to give Judkins the ball like they did yesterday. Kid's a stud. Of course he is, Robert. Of course he is. How do the AP coaches poll voters continue to keep the Pac-12 out of the top 5? Unstupid. They've been doing it for 30 years. For 30 years. It's what they'll always do. They'll just ignore the performances and refuse. And as long as you're only awake to watch ESPN during the day and then you go to sleep before they play any of their games, you never see it. So you never even notice. Are you kidding me? UCLA has 1 loss. They don't care. There's teams with 2 losses in the top 25. UCLA has 1 good loss to Utah. They don't care. They're not getting ranked. They're getting no votes. It is propaganda to the fullest. Miami playing this weekend, opponent, meh. We get an MVP chat so we can chat among one another is what I meant, Rico. Oh, Mateo, no, not until next Saturday, and half the MVPs won't be there. And then they'll bitch about the MVP chart not being up to date, or they bet on all the wrong games. I don't even know what they're doing. There's MVPs out there who don't watch any of the live streams, including the one that's for MVPs. It's fucking crazy. Dart for Heisman. I've always liked Dart. They got to go undefeated. They got to win the rest of their games if you want Dart for Heisman. Quinn Ewers. Yeah. I think West Virginia will go undefeated in Big 12 play. That's an absurd thought process there, Mac-10. I think they're struggling with some of the worst teams in the Big 12. You look at TCU. TCU is not good. I told you guys TCU is a 5-win team this year. I said it all off season. Don't get excited when you see somebody beating TCU. They're not a good team. But West Virginia's just a slight bit better, than people think. But I like West Virginia. I can't see them going undefeated, though. They do have a favorable schedule, but undefeated is a bit much. Bama on upset alert this week. Bama's on upset alert every week, Braden. Every week. West Virginia was underrated going into the season, made some money. There you go. I'm going to Texas A&M, and Bama game is there a lock. Cameron Jones, I'm not discussing locks right now. I'm discussing results from last week. So there you go. September has come and gone. What letter grade do you give it? I'm giving it a B- due to primarily to lack of big games and scheduling gluttonous. J-Lo, college football, September, I give it an A+. An A+. I love the first month of the season. It enables you to make the most money off the lines and the spreads. It enables you to be correct about your entire offseason. There's a lot of good things about September that I really like. October can be injury-filled, and teams can just – you see what's happening now. It's just propaganda, bro. It's just a bunch of lies. Just a bunch of lies. How do you feel about Oklahoma going into the Red River week? Gabriel's looking, yeah, I like them both. I like both teams. I hope it's exciting. I'm going to go to chat. I'm going to go back to these games now. James Madison getting it done against South Alabama. South Alabama's having a rough season, 2-3. James Madison undefeated. A lot of guys wanted to bet on this game because it was a 4-point spread. And I said, you know what? Stay away from it. South Alabama's a good team. But James Madison proved they're better. I just don't feel comfortable betting against Carter Bradley. That dude's out there. He's still throwing 2 picks, but they got a good team, and they're losing games. It's crazy. Shout out to South Alabama. James Madison, they want the crown in the Sun Belt, and they look great for it. By the way, they were a top 10 transfer portal team for me, just so you know. If I could find my transfer portal rankings, I could prove it. I just don't remember what chart I have them on. That would be cool. That would be cool if I could show you guys. I think I changed it from the MVP locks chart. Oh, yeah. Complete transfer portal. James Madison. Check it out. James Madison. 5th on my transfer portal chart. Colorado was actually up here, but I moved them for video purposes. James Madison, 5th. Love everything about James Madison. They did well. Nobody was paying attention. Buffalo getting their first win of the season. I told you they would. They beat Akron in overtime. Both very bad teams. Look at DJ Irons being the leading rusher for Akron. That's their quarterback, by the way. Cole Snyder, been playing great all season. Had a bad game, but he still did enough to win, so that's awesome. Congratulations to Buffalo. Central Michigan did not cover the spread, but they did beat Eastern Michigan. It happened. It was a tough game. I go back and look at this whole matchup. 5 points in the third quarter. Ridiculous. They ran back an extra point for 2 points. Getting it done in the MAC, but it was a wacky MAC game. I didn't like it. Congratulations to Central Michigan for staying 3-2. They need to do better. They did not look good. Shout out to Boston College for getting the win over Virginia. Virginia had to start Tony Muskett. They need to stop playing Muskett. I like the other kid, Anthony Colandrea, the freshman. But Muskett is a transfer from – where is he a transfer from? Hampton, Hampshire, New Hampton. Where is he? I know where he's from. I'm drawing a blank right now. It's an FCS school. It'll come to me. But he transferred. He played good-ish, but not good enough to win apparently, right? Garwo's Boston College running back, doing his thing, just churning out 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Bond being another good target for Boston College again. But way to pull it out in the second half. I still think both of these coaches need to be fired. I really do. I'm just keeping it real. They both need to be fired. Miami of Ohio did not get it hitting on all cylinders, and that's okay. They still won the game 23-3 because Kent State's terrible. Kent State, worst team in America. Talent-wise, I've looked at that roster. I'm not impressed with anything on it. I'm letting you know now. Cal, Arizona State. Cal wins the game, but nobody's shutting out Arizona State. Cal, Jay Knott running out of his mind, really dominating this game on the ground. Cameron Scadaboo continues to be a stud. I love that little bowling ball for Arizona State. He had four catches for 98 yards. Pretty tough stuff. But at the end of the day, Cal wins. Cal actually has a pretty respectable record. Don't be surprised to see Cal continue to be competitive in their games, even when they're getting blown out in losses. Cal's capable of scoring. Maryland blowing out Indiana. Somebody in the live chat, in the MVP chat, was like, Rico, I think Maryland's going to win this game big. And I said, not a chance, man. You're talking crazy. Don't do it. He was right. Maryland went out there. Tagovailoa, Talua. This guy, Talia, Mother effer. This dude threw 5 touchdowns. Maryland's in a showdown this week. We'll see what happens. I like Maryland. They're tough. 5 touchdowns. They win huge. Purdue in the battle of the in the battle of the softest teams in the Big Ten, Purdue wins. Huge. It's because they got Hudson Card, guys. It's because they got Tracy at running back. And it's because Illinois is really bad. Like I told you guys at the beginning of the season, I said there are 3 teams that are going to take a step back to reality. The 3 were Illinois, Alabama, and Georgia. This was all in the preseason. I talked about this. Well, Illinois is on their way. Rutgers blowing out Wagner, expecting nothing but the best from that. Rutgers' defense is so mean, man. They look great. Bowling Green shocked the world. Bowling Green beat Georgia Tech, shocking the world. Shout out to Haynes King, 2 interceptions. Bowling Green relied on their run game to do it. But how do you not win this game, Georgia Tech? This is a game you have to win. You want to go to a bowl, you got to win this game. And they didn't. They came out of halftime. Bowling Green scores 21 points in the third quarter. Even with Dominic Blaylock playing great, that's the Georgia transfer, there was nothing Georgia Tech can do in this game. I was just heartbroken. There's just no way Connor Bazelak does that to you. Connor Bazelak, guys, this is not a good quarterback, but he played a good game. Texas Tech beating the brakes off of Houston. Dana Holmgren probably needs to be fired. That's the Houston head coach. And I'm not just saying because of this loss. It's just they have no fight in them. They had 28 points at the half and never scored again. It's just embarrassing. Donovan Smith, 4 touchdowns and still losing to his old team. If you didn't know, Donovan Smith was the backup quarterback at Texas Tech last year, and he loses to his old team. But check out Dre McCray, running back a kickoff, 100 yards. This is the speed demon, one of my favorite players this preseason. I told you guys all about Dre McCray and what he did at Austin Peay last year. And when I talked about my top 50 transfer portal players, one of the guys I had on my list was Dre McCray. Well, no, everybody else said, oh, you're wrong. And I looked wrong for weeks. They still don't throw it to him enough. But Dre McCray was number 24 on my top transfer list. There he is, 24. And just ahead of Alton McCaskill IV, who hasn't done anything for Colorado. It looks like I don't know what I'm talking about. There's Mikey Keene at 20. But my goodness, Dre McCray, 100-yard touchdown. Big bucks. I like the kid. I think he's a pro, just so you know. Baylor edging out UCF. It's crazy. Baylor puts up 26 in the fourth quarter. I said bet the over on this. We weren't going to hit, and then we did. It's insane. And it's what's crazy is that UCF could have still won the game, but the field goal kicker couldn't get it there. He kicked it and he missed it. It came up short. Check out Richardson. 6 carries, 105 yards and a touchdown. Doesn't matter. UCF did not get it done. Welcome back, Blake Shapen. Baylor gets Shapen back at quarterback. They've been playing backups all year, and they finally get it done. And then so I just got asked about this game. Arkansas State, Massachusetts. Jalen Raynor, they still don't have a picture of him. He's a true freshman. They don't have a picture of this young man from North Carolina. 383 yards, 6 touchdowns. How you like me now, UMass? This man is doing it all. Connecting with A. Jones, 3 catches, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. UMass is still competitive, but they weren't on this level at all. This score was out of hand in a hurry. 31-10 at the half. It was a problem. South Florida, they outclassed Navy. I said they would. They were a 3-point underdog. I didn't care. Byron Brown is him. Everything South Florida's doing out there is dominant. They're just so improved. Shout out to their, when I did my assessment of their team, I want to say I was wrong. And I'm so impressed with what they're doing. I had the nerve to think South Florida was going to win 1 game this year. 1. And then Alex Golesh, the offensive coordinator from Tennessee, is now their head coach. And Tennessee misses him. And, oh, my goodness, look what he's doing with South Florida. And he had the nerve to start a redshirt freshman at quarterback. And he's doing it. Jerry Bohannon was injured, and this is his team now. Marshall did not impress me. And the reason why, Callaway, Old Dominion, 11 carries, 236 yards. He ran all over them, 3 touchdowns. Marshall wins the game, but oh my goodness, you couldn't stop this man. 11 carries, 236 yards. Bananas. Western Michigan beat Ball State. I expected that. Marquez Cooper still hasn't got over 100 yards in a game. This is a former 1,200-yard rusher back-to-back seasons at Kent State, transferred into Ball State, and they cannot block for that man. It's gross. All right? It's gross. Magwood transferring into Ball State, whatever. I don't care. Western Michigan gets it done. Congratulations. Toledo was in a fight, almost lost this game. Shout out to Northern Illinois for actually showing up and playing hard. Toledo was supposed to have Tucker Gleason at quarterback, the backup. Didn't. They went with Finn, and Finn they needed everybody for that one. They almost lost at the Glass Bowl, which is insane. Memphis beating a shootout with Boise State. Seth Hennigan didn't really do much. It was all Ben Watson. If you guys don't know, Ben Watson's a former wide receiver, 2-star kid. Was a 1,000-yard rusher in 2021, then a 900-yard rusher last season for Old Dominion. Transfers to Memphis this year, and thank goodness they have him. Shout out to Rock Taylor, the 6'3 wide receiver, getting it done, 100 yards as well. Memphis has a good team, guys. Their only loss to Missouri, undefeated SEC team. I really like Memphis to win the American at this point. They just look like the part, right? Let me go to chat. Sorry about that. Got long-winded. I'll go to chat. Thank you guys for being here. If you're watching us today, we're doing our thing. How you feel about that? I thought that thoughts on LSU and Ole Miss this weekend. Rewind the show. I already talked about it. You ready to start giving C.J. Stroud some love? Jeffrey, I don't really care. Like, I don't watch NFL games. The NFL games were today. I hung out with my girl and went out to dinner. I don't care about the NFL. C.J. Stroud, whatever he's doing in the NFL, is probably a product of the system and the opportunity and what his coaches are letting him do. That's it. Oklahoma is going to shit themselves versus Texas. Shout out to Joseph. Hit Georgia Southern 6.5, Texas State 6.5 parlay. Third parlay hit this weekend. Thanks to Rico, all while the haters stay broke. Shout out to you, Andrew. I'm proud of you, man. Congratulations. You went in hard on C.J. Stroud. I thought he was trash. What happened, Rico? Stephen Moss. What do you mean what happened? He's on a team and they're letting him start. There's plenty of teams where he couldn't start. LMAO. You call it last week about Louisville bin ranking. Thank you very much. I feel they will drop to Texas or West Virginia. Missed the 5-team parlay thanks to SC not covering. Got too greedy. Never do the parlay. They'll lose to Texas for sure. They probably lost to someone. Yeah. Ooh. Would you panic if you were Boise State? Cody Van, no. I don't know what that means. Would I panic? They're in a tough division. They're playing tough out-of-conference games like this. It's not easy, man. You're playing Division I football. There's nothing to panic. You have Taylon Green. You have Genty. You have a good team. Who do you think your number one is in college football? Travel, my number one is USC. I just believe they have the best player in college football, and I believe he can win every game. That's how it is. If you got the MVP, I can't mess with nobody else. Hey, Rico, what do you think about Peachtree Ridge? I think we're going to find out a lot more about them at the end of October. They are undefeated in 7A. Congratulations. That's a Georgia high school football team, by the way, guys. They look great. I've watched some tape. We'll find out more. Jeff Jensen says, I know Kentucky's 5-0, but are they legit? Seems like Stoops should be a head coach candidate for a more prestigious program. Thoughts? No, I think he's good where he's at. Is Kentucky legit? They're legitimately 5-0. They struggled with Eastern Kentucky, so I haven't been impressed with them since. I haven't seen Leary play great at all. Like, anytime. If they're winning games, it's because of Ray Davis. Ray Davis is doing it and not Leary, which is problematic for me. Some of their best playmakers are wide receivers, and I don't know why Barron Brown's not getting more receptions. It's just some favoritism going on or something. But, yeah, Kentucky just seems a little bit off-put. Now, I say all that to tell you that I had Kentucky winning 9 games this year. They were in my preseason top 25 for a reason. I was one of the few people that had them in the preseason top 25. Go find the video. So I actually believe in them. I just don't know what more you want from them. Is LSU the best 2-loss team in the nation? Not a chance, Joseph. Not a chance. What about Tech losing to Bowling Green? Just talked about it. Thank you. I'm going to talk about every single team, guys. Chat just jumped on me. I apologize. Sorry about that. I feel they'll drop. I think you meant to say, hey, Rico. Dr. Jizzle says, hey, Rico, do you have any coaches on the hot seat? I get the impression that Florida will overreact and can Napier. No, they shouldn't can Napier at all. Coach on the hot seat, Butch Butch is going to get a chance just because he got – so Arkansas State's going to be fine because they found their freshman quarterback. But Tom Allen at Indiana's got to be fired. Hafley at Boston College has to be fired. We need to start looking at Buffalo. I'm forgetting his name right now. I know it, but I'm forgetting it. And he needs to be fired. I think Gundy's on the hot seat if they have a terrible season. Aranda can be, but I don't think he should be. He can be, but I don't think he should be. And what about Hoke? San Diego State, they're about to never win a game all year. I don't know. All the TikTokers losing their mind. No football on Sunday. Oh, Kevin Wynn, I don't know. I don't know what that's about. Darn, didn't know you were streaming. How was dinner? Dinner was delicious, Daniel Henderson. I did this surprise stream just to talk results. I'm going crazy, Rico, when you're rolling out the picks. Tomorrow morning, Daniel, I got some other stuff I got to do. You guys remember I have other responsibilities right now. It won't happen after, November, but for now it's just a little tough. Rico the man, thank you. I have other responsibilities. That's all. You like Maryland plus 17.5. I've not had a chance to look at spreads, and I don't talk about things that have potential to be an MVP lock. So, Joe Bartolo, I apologize if you're asking me questions in regards to spreads on Sunday. That will not happen. I will not have the discussion and take away some opportunities to help my MVPs. Musket is from Monmouth. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Yes, it was me, and I bet. Colorado back in the win column this week. We'll have to see Rondo's gaming. I'm not talking any games and what's going to happen this week. I am talking about results from Saturday. I talk about the games in the upcoming live streams, Monday through Friday. Rico always working for the MVPs. Thank you. Pac-12 pecking order question. I've got number 1 Washington, 2 blah 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 blah. That's fine. What was for dinner tonight? Where'd you go? George Hennon went to Texas Roadhouse. I think I had a T-bone steak, bone-in steak or something like that. Asked for it medium well. They brought it to me straight raw. They brought it to me raw. The shit was raw. I like medium well. I'm cool. I could probably handle medium, but that was just legitimately still mooing on the plate. And then the wife got steak tips or something like that. I don't know what she eats. She eats girl stuff, bro. It was a good dinner, though. Hook 'em. What are your thoughts on Oklahoma versus Texas? I'm going to be talking about that on the 12th on Wednesday. Sel v. Solo. I talk about all the upcoming matchups during the week. 49-0 part 2. J-Lo's a casual. Ewers for Heisman. Who do you think is the most complete team in the SEC West? Probably Texas A&M. Ewers for Heisman. Texas 15-0. What are your thoughts on Oregon? What's up, Rico? Oregon's a good team. What are your thoughts on Oklahoma? They're a good team. Guys, I talk about all that some other day. Roadhouse always be doing shit like that. Yep. I saw the live. The steak was still mooing. They cut the horns off, slid it across the grill, and threw it on the plate. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy. All right. So, back to the results real quick. Try to get through these. We're on Hawaii, UNLV. UNLV really impressed me, man. Maeva's still throwing interceptions, still not looking good. I don't care what they say in here. I watched it. It didn't look good. But UNLV, running backs, Lester, that's the William and Mary transfer, dominating the game. Shout out to McBride for playing well, but Lester handles this game and ensures that UNLV wins. I love that UNLV's 4-1 because you're paying for a coach. If you guys don't know, Barry Odom is the highest paid coach in the Mountain West. Coming in, a former Missouri head coach. So you got an SEC level head coach transferring into your conference, and he is doing it big. I love everything about that. Wyoming beating New Mexico. Was not impressed with this win, but I told you guys about Harrison Whaley. Harrison Whaley, the Northern Illinois transfer, shows up, doesn't play the first 2 games of the season, and now he is their bell cow. 18 carries, 191 yards. He is the man. I told you he would be, and he's proven me right. He'll probably still get to 1,000 yards, even though he didn't play in those first 2 games. Wyoming's a very good team in the Mountain West. I think they should be ranked. I think they should be close to ranked, I should say. Don't be surprised to see them give Fresno State all they want. Rice gets it done. Rice looked very underwhelming in this game. We were paying attention to it very closely on the live stream if you were watching, just because we wanted the over to hit. The over did not hit. We're trying to help out some of our MVPs. I had this on the over chart, and then I took it off. Please pay attention to the chart. I took it off because I knew Rice wasn't playing with JT Daniels. It didn't look good. And then I think Daniels did play, but he wasn't 100%. North Texas, they're good for 30 points every week. They have an explosive offense. Great coach in Eric Morris. And they beat Abilene Christian, who actually has a really good team. Shout out to Macklin. Yeah, he's related to that Macklin. And Chandler Rogers transferring in from ULM, former starting quarterback at ULM. Now he's getting the opportunity to start at North Texas. Congratulations. Georgia Southern, throwing the ball everywhere. Shout out to Georgia Southern. Davis Brin, 322 yards, 3 touchdowns, getting it done. I think the defense for Georgia Southern had 3 interceptions, which is incredible because there's no way Grayson McCall throws 3 picks, but he did. So congratulations. Troy dominating Georgia State like Georgia State wasn't undefeated. Troy is so good of a team. They're too dominant. They're just tough. They're a quality team. Very talented team. So I didn't give a shit about the spread. We knew it was going to happen. Talk about a crazy game. Texas State, Southern Miss. You see it right there. Texas State was up 28-3 in the first quarter. Texas State was up 42-10 at the half. The spread on this game was 6.5, and Texas State almost blew it because they didn't score in the second half. They gave up 26 unanswered points. Those 8 points you see there, that was at the end of the game. They scored and went for 2. This was outrageous. Okay. Shout out to Billy Joe Hobart's son, Joey Hobart. This is a kid who just transferred in from Utah Tech or Southern Utah. This kid is an All-American at the FCS level. Last year had like 1,400 yards receiving. So it's nice to see him go out there. He can do this every game. This is Cooper Kupp 2.0. This man can do this stuff right here, Joey Hobart. I was impressed with him finally getting a shot to do it. Finley, the Auburn LSU transfer, he is 6'7", 250-pound statue. But he's highly accurate, got it done. Frank Gore Jr., it's a who's who name here, brother. But Texas State, looking like beast. Congratulations. Hey, shout out to the newest Roughneck. We just got Jabron Fuller. Welcome to the family. You are a Roughneck. Congratulations. Look at Colorado State. They were struggling for a little bit at the half, only up 21-17, and then it was 21-20, and then they went ahead and rattled off 21 unanswered points. So congratulations. But BFN, Braden Fowler Nicolosi, the quarterback for Colorado State. This is a freshman quarterback. He's now starting. Does great. He's a baller. You saw him in the Colorado game. 462 yards, 4 touchdowns. I love it. Torrey Horton's a machine. 10 receptions, 227 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He was my number 3 rated group of 5 wide receiver. Doesn't let me down. Congratulations. Iowa pulling away 13 unanswered points in the fourth. It was really Cooper DeJean's punt return that kind of sparked it open. 3 interceptions by Noah Kim because he's not good. And shout out to Iowa's defense for being so good. Nathan Carter, the transfer from UConn, rushing for over 100 again. One of the nation's leading rushers. Michigan State does have a rushing attack, but my goodness, do they look terrible. SMU beating Charlotte. We hit the under on this. SMU's defense is dominant. Charlotte's offense is anemic. And Jalen Knighton, the transfer from Miami, now at SMU, going out there, getting his 11 carries, 150 yards. He's also a good kickoff returner, just in case you didn't know. But, yeah, this is a good team. Preston Stone actually playing well. This is why Tanner Mordecai transferred to Wisconsin. People wanted Preston Stone to start, and now that he is starting, he's playing all right. He's not bad. I like SMU and the American. They look good. Virginia Tech, speaking of quarterback play, Virginia Tech did their thing, went out here, played great. Everybody's telling me, Rico, you might have got it wrong. Kyron Drones is him. No, it's just how bad Pitt is, guys. And, yes, Kyron Drones played pretty good, but Pitt's still really bad. Congratulations to Virginia Tech. Getting Bishal Tutton 100 yards rushing. This is an FCS transfer, All-American out of North Carolina A&T. Nice to see him there. How do I say his name? Felton. Dominic Felton? DeQuan Felton. He's a wide receiver transfer FCS from Norfolk, Virginia, and he got it done as well. So congratulations to him for having a breakout game. West Virginia with the upset. If you call it that, I think West Virginia is the better team. I told you TCU is not winning more than 5 games. Chandler Morris still almost threw for 300 yards, but this Garrett Green kid, man, coming off not playing last week. They had Nico playing instead. This guy goes out there and does 12 carries, 80 yards. This is a quarterback, guys, running around, doing his thing, just being tough, gritty team. I love what West Virginia does. They have a good secondary, by the way, and they're just out there playing. Aguiar comes through for App State. They were losing much of this game. It was a shootout. It's just nuts. Nate Noel goes for over 100 again. They actually get it done. I'm impressed. 54-yard field goal to win the game. They were going to lose. 54-yard field goal. Not bad. Air Force, told you they would cover the spread on their own. The spread was 42, the over-under. Did it like it was nothing. Nothing. So 49 and to 10, easy money. Easy money there. San Diego State's offense is gross, but Air Force is dominant. All right, that's all the results. Let's go back and talk to you guys. Sorry, went so long. See what's in the chat, and then we'll call it a night. Scroll back up. Rico, do you remember me? Brady Gandel, yeah, I believe you got blocked for trolling. I remember you. I don't forget a lot of names, man. I'm a dangerous person. I remember everything. I remember every single result I just gave you. Chiefs about to blow this game. Oh, I don't know. C.J. Stroud get carried by Tank this week. Didn't see. Ready for this week's MVP locks. There you go. All things Purnell. I'll get them to you guys in the morning. Congratulations again, Jabron Fuller, for being a redneck. Rico, what did you think of Zach Wilson when he was in college? Zach Wilson at BYU, I thought he was pretty decent. I thought he was a good player. I'm an advocate for small school guys, so I thought he played well and he looked good in camp. Everybody loves Jerry, says Felton came from Norfolk State. Yeah, that's what I said. Norfolk. Who's an underrated Group of 5 teams competing with the Power 5? Fresno State, Texas State, Wyoming, Louisiana, Georgia Southern. All those teams really impressed me. They really impressed me. Thoughts on Texas A&M's defense? Speed everywhere. They look good. After watching Bryce Young again today, I just can't make excuse for him anymore. Dude just ain't got it. I know only 4 games in, but the guy can't throw the ball downfield. Rico, you were right. JB, never in doubt, man. I know that dude's not it. Rico, what do you think the main reason Zach Wilson is so bad when he got into the NFL? Development, coaching, opportunities, receivers. There's all kinds of shit that go wrong in the NFL. People don't understand. You get drafted to the wrong organization, your career's over. You can get drafted to a great organization, and they'll let you develop, quote-unquote, and be fine on the bench, and no one knows you suck for 4 years. There's a whole lot of things. The NFL is way different. Thoughts on West Virginia so far? Rewind the show. I talked about West Virginia. I like them. Can we skip Virginia Tech, Florida State spread tomorrow? Act like they never said. We might like it. We might like it. No fuck. Okay, no fuck. Not up for debate. My bad. I've been Street Brawls transition over being mispronounced. All right, Norfolk, Suffolk. I know Suffolk. Norfolk. Well, my girl's from Virginia. She's from Virginia Beach, so I can ask her. She knows. She'll tell me. She's from right around the way. I think she's near Newport News and all that. So somewhere around there. Thoughts on Centennial High School football? They're great. Harris. Hey, guys, thanks for talking to me tonight. I'll be in touch tomorrow with the MVPs. I'll make their video and show you guys my takes. Got to get the spreadsheet ready. It should probably be out before noon. Catch you guys later. Remember, Norfolk. Hey, your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Peace, y'all.
Do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you. I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do